Hello guys, we got a 2-game NBA slate for September 15th, Tuesday, and we're going to start off with point guard. So my favorite play is going to be Kemba Walker. He's 7,700, which is the same price as he was Game 7 against the Raptors. But if you look at how he played last time, obviously it was really bad. However, this time it is a different matchup. They're playing the Heat now, and even though the Heat, they have a very tough defense as well, since they got past the Bucks, and overall that's just how they're built. And at this point, every team's going to be a tough matchup. And so you're getting Kemba Walker now at, I would say, low ownership because he has had a really bad series last time. And this time with the Heat, they're probably not going to play a box and one. That was what the Raptors were doing, which is basically you play that defense to take away one of the opposing players' best players. And so they took away Kemba that series, and that's why a lot of the other Celtics players went off. So here, I don't expect the Heat to do this. For the matchups, I would say that probably Dragic guards Kemba, but there's definitely a chance that maybe Jimmy does. But I would expect Crowder to guard Tatum, and Smart or Dragic could guard Duncan because that way he only has to chase players around. But I just think Kemba, he's not going to have Jimmy Butler on him. I know that that is the case with like fast break, transition, pick and roll, switches, everything like that. Matchups can change. But just overall, I think Kemba Walker is going to be in a much better spot where he just has a lot more opportunity here when the Heat aren't playing a box and one and it's more man-to-man defense. So I like Kemba Walker, which for a two-gamer, he's probably going to be lower on than he should be because of recency bias, and he has all the upside in the world at only 7,700. Now, the next play, I'm going to put Jamal Murray because when you're talking about upside, this is for tournaments. I think for cash, you would go with Dragic over Murray, but I'm going to go with Murray second because I am only playing tournaments. And you're getting a Game 7 Jamal Murray, which definitely is going to play over 40 minutes unless foul trouble. And he has amazing upside. We saw it last time against the Jazz, and now against the Clippers, it is a very tough matchup. They have all the defenders. We know what the Clippers can do to opposing teams, but I mean, really, the Clippers' defense has not been that great for the entire playoffs. And so Jamal Murray, he's priced up where it doesn't feel like you need to have him, but I still like him because he has upside at this price. 45 points is okay. It might not be enough, but he definitely can put up more than 45. And so when you're comparing Jamal against Dragic, who most likely is going to get Marcus Smart defense, Dragic most likely plays like mid 30s in minutes. That 40 game came in overtime. And so with Dragic at 7,300, there's not a whole lot of upside. You need 36.5 points for 5x. And so you look at his game log, just he's not going to really exceed that much. You need something crazy to happen, like, if someone gets hurt or just circumstances that we can't really see happening. And he's going to be in a tougher matchup this time. And so at this price, I just don't think that there's a whole lot of upside. Next is going to be Monte Morris, and this is where we're going to get to the value plays. Morris and Beverly, actually. I'm going to put Beverly ahead of Morris because of the minutes. Beverly, he fouled out last game. That's why he only played 18. And since he played 27 on the first game, or the prior game, I would say he gets closer to 30, possibly more. And even though he's not a productive player, he's going to be out there on the court a lot. He's someone that can rebound really well. He's a point guard, so even though he doesn't ball handle a lot, he'll still pick up a few assists, and obviously steals and blocks are really his thing. So if he makes some shots, he's very much in play. He's only 4K, so you're getting possibly 30 minutes. If he's out of foul trouble, very good value play. Monty Morris, same thing, but different because he's not going to play 30 minutes. He probably doesn't ever, he's not going to get there at all. 20 possibly, but most likely you're going to see these high teens because if everyone's just playing the regular minutes with Gary Harris healthy now, Torrey Craig backs up him, and you're just going to pick up a lot of minutes. Most of Morris's minutes when Jamal Murray is on the bench resting. So there's not a whole lot of upside for this, but if you were telling me Morris outscores Beverly, I would not be surprised because he's a pretty solid point guard out there that can make shots. And so if Beverly, who has a very low floor, they're very comparable, and Morris, you save 400 with him, and I wouldn't be surprised if Beverly doesn't play as many minutes as Morris either. So it's just, if you're playing tournaments, make sure you have both of these guys as value plays. Other guys are looking at Brad Wanamaker, Kendrick Nunn, just really thin now. I just think that Morris and Beverly are much better plays than them, but obviously if these two guys don't do that well, you can take Wanamaker and Nunn, who maybe doesn't even match but comes a little bit close to these guys' points, and you're going to be perfectly fine because you can use that savings to get something else. Shooting guard Paul George, my top play here. He's 8,600, which is more than what we've been seeing, but you're getting a Game 7 again. His minutes are going to be way up there, and he was in foul trouble for that game where he got 27. So here's Paul George, who is in an excellent spot here because he's obviously the guy next to Kawhi. Lou Williams has not had a good series, and so I would expect these two guys to just always be out there, and you're going to get minutes with George while Kawhi is resting, so that's even more usage for him. He's just someone that can get defensive stats. He shoots a lot of threes. You get that bonus here, and he does everything on the court. 8,600, very much in play. I think he's going to be one of my top plays for the slate. Jimmy Butler, he's 8,500. I prefer George definitely over Butler, but Butler's got upside as well. But for the first game, I think I'm going to go with George because George, he's just in a Game 7. Butler's there in Game 1. Obviously, it is the playoffs, and Butler does have that kind of alpha dog mentality, but I just prefer George. He has a lot more scoring upside, and he has similar stats with rebounds, assists, and defensive stats. Next is going to be Duncan Robinson as a value because he's 4,500. Now, Boston is a way better defensive team against the 3 ball than the Bucks because the Bucks, they protect the rim first. The Celtics don't do that. They don't have that same strategy. So you're going to be able to see probably, I would say, less 3-point attempts. But if you look at the past history against the Celtics, like there's one game on the 4th, doesn't tell you much because it is the playoffs now, but he was still able to get a whole lot of 3 attempts. So if he's able to get shots up, we know Duncan Robinson is a sniper, so he's going to be able to make a lot of shots if he does get the opportunity, and he doesn't contribute a lot elsewhere, but mainly it's a scoring. So it's very tournament, but that's what I'm playing. So 4,500, there's definitely upside with him, 30 plus point upside, and he's only 4,500. And then Gary Harris, he's 4,600. I think Harris's minutes are safer. Obviously, if he's in foul trouble, that's different, but Harris, he's not going to be the main option. You're not going to be seeing the Nuggets try to hunt out Gary Harris for 3-point attempts like the Heat are going to do with Robinson. But still, Harris, he's able to contribute with steals. That's not something that Duncan can do. Rebounding and assist-wise, they're really not they don't excel at that. But Harris, he's going to play most likely more minutes. So if you're looking for minutes, I would say Gary Harris over Duncan, especially because it is a Game 7. Other guys, Lou Will, 5,500. He has upside. That's why I'm going to continue playing him. Even though his defense is just really bad and hasn't shown a whole lot of upside, he's 5,500. There's a lot of room for upside. He has 40 plus point upside. And if you get a weird situation where Paul George or Kawhi Leonard are in foul trouble, or unfortunately they get hurt, Lou Williams is going to play a lot more minutes than what he's been playing, and he's going to get a whole lot more usage. And at that point, he's going to be in the tournament winning lineup. And then Marcus Smart, I'm not probably going to play him. 6,900, he's way too expensive. I know he played a lot. He played pretty well, but I mean, other than that double OT game, you take that away, he's not hitting this price tag. Torrey Craig, if you're really looking for value, if Gary Harris gets into foul trouble, Craig, he closed last game, and so there's definitely a chance that he does pick up some more minutes, but that was because Jeremy Grant was in foul trouble, and the way that the Nuggets were playing well, they just stuck with Craig. Small forward, favorite play, Jeremy Grant, 4,900. It doesn't feel great, but I mean, he's playing heavy minutes. The last time it was because of the game flow and foul trouble. That's why he only played 20. Very low floor. He got 7 that game, but you probably don't see that ever happen again because he only scored 7 points. He literally didn't do anything else. So I don't expect him to have to be out there because of his defense, and he's just really athletic, versatile. They're going to need him out on the court. So 4,900, still very affordable. You're going to need value plays like this, and he's one of the rare guys in this price range that has 40-point upside. Next is going to be Michael Porter Jr., 5,300. I think more people will play MPJ over Grant, but I prefer Grant slightly because of the minutes. I think Porter, he has a chance to play more minutes than Grant, obviously, because that was the case last time, but Porter, he doesn't contribute a lot elsewhere other than points and rebounds, and he, honestly, he is a ball hog, But I mean, that's kind of what we want because he's going to take a whole lot of shots. He's going to be able to score the ball, and he rebounds pretty well. So if he's able to play good minutes, like upper 20s, low 30s, he's definitely very much in play at this price tag. Kawhi Leonard, 10.4K. This is going to probably be a hot take, but I think I'm going to have more Kawhi than Jokic. I expect the Clippers to win this game. And I know that doesn't mean necessarily that Kawhi's going to have the better game here, but you're talking about Game 7 Kawhi Leonard, which he's going to play, with his concern, it's always about minutes and load management, but playoffs, he's playing heavy minutes. 10.4K, he's had upside. We know he's one of the best players in the NBA. He can do everything, and he's basically unguardable. The Nuggets are not really setting double teams because they just can't afford to do so and leave Paul George, Lou Williams, other options open. And so Kawhi's 10.4K being more expensive, the most expensive player on this slate, I like him if he's only going to come in around like under 30% ownership. Jaylen Brown, he's 8K. Same with Marcus Smart. I prefer Jaylen over Smart if you want, but obviously Kemba's going to be my top Celtic play. It's just the price. He's at 8K, and really there's no upside other than that double OT game you saw him exceed it. And then value, Andre Iguodala, Landry Sherman. Not really guys I want to play, but if you're looking for 3K value out of this position, Iguodala, because he's 3.7K, can contribute in a lot of ways, but same thing, he has a pretty low floor, even though he can do a little bit of everything because he just doesn't shoot a lot. So you're going to be really reliant on those peripherals. And then Landry Sherman, it's because Patrick Beverley fell out last time. That's why he picked up a lot more minutes. And sorry for that, no loading, but Sherman's just more of a 3-point guy. He's not going to do a whole lot out on the court. Power forward, Paul Millsap. He's been really instrumental if you watch these games in these Nuggets comebacks. He's been out there playing really well, especially game 5. He basically brought them back for that game. Like, that win is because of Millsap. And the concern is the minutes, because even though he played well the past 2 games, he didn't even close. That's a really big problem. And so maybe because he's a veteran, game 7, he's going to be able to perform better. But I just expect that he doesn't close. But he's 4,700. And when you compare him against other options here, I think he still is able to produce pretty well if he's able to get like close to 30 minutes. And obviously there is a chance that he can play over, but he's just going to be over guys like Morris possibly because he saves you 300, and Morris, even though he plays more minutes, most likely he plays more minutes, but he just doesn't rebound, get even the stats as much as Paul Millsap. So you're going to need Morris to score a little bit more, and I think he's very much in play because he's going to be right behind Millsap for me currently. Maybe that changes, but that's how I see it for that range. Jason Tatum's 9,700. I just prefer Kawhi and then Jokic over Tatum, so I'm not going to get to him much, but obviously if he has a big game, like he's going to be a star, so it wouldn't be surprising. Jay Crowder, 5,800, same thing. There's just not a whole lot of upside. Like, I don't really want to play him that much because he is this expensive now. He got 30, like he's really consistent, but it's a different matchup. I mean, most likely he still gets over 30 minutes, but it's just the price tag, and he's been shooting pretty well from 3. And I don't really expect that to happen, so most likely you're going to get a down game rather than a boom game. And then JaMychal Green, he's cheap at 3,400. They want to play Mita Zubac at the 5. That's what they want to close, but Green is someone that they definitely want to give minutes to, especially with Harrell just being really bad. And Green is someone that doesn't have a whole lot of upside, but he's a value play because he plays good minutes for a bench player, and on the 2-game slate, that's what you need. And then lastly, center, Bam Adebayo is 8,400. I'm going to really like him. I think Heat, I like Adebayo, and then Celtics, I like Kemba. That's going to be kind of the 2 guys that I run it back with. Bam, he's against Daniel Tice, who is undersized, and rebounding isn't something that the Celtics are really great at. Obviously, great defensive team, but something that you have to note is if both of these teams defend really well, that means most likely these shots are going to miss more, and that's going to mean more rebounds. So that's an approach that you can definitely take by taking these centers with Bam, 8,400, who we know he just does a little bit of everything. He has big-time upside. So 8,400, if a lot of people are going to go Jokic, saving $1,600 for Bam, who has pretty good upside as well. Not nearly as high, but still really good upside, and you save a little bit. You can pay up for something else. I like that. And then Jokic, 10K, obviously, Game 7, going to play massive minutes probably at least 40, and this is a matchup where we like to target bigs against the Clippers, and just he has triple-double upside every time he takes the court. And then Zubac, 4,800, he's not going to be a main offensive option, obviously, but he's going to be around the rim, easy putbacks, layups, dunks when he catches the ball off of screens, and he rebounds. He's most likely going to pick up like a block, and 4,800, if you're playing 30 minutes, you are a center, you're going to be near the basket. There's a lot of opportunity, some 3-point upside for Zubac here. Kelly Olynyk, 3,500, Montrezl Harrell, 4,200. Other guys, because they're cheap, Harrell, he has upside, but he just has not looked good, so it's going to be really tough to see him how he hits that, because this is Game 7. They can't afford to have Harrell out there trying to get in shape. Kelly Olynyk, 3,500. He's cheap and he's pretty productive, but just the minutes. I'm not going to take the revenge approach. I know that's something that maybe you guys have in mind, but this is the playoffs. The Heat, they want to run Bam out there. Olynyk is just kind of playing the minutes that Bam doesn't play, so it's concerning with his minutes, but he's productive. So if something were to happen to Bam, he picks up a few minutes, and at that point, Kelly Olynyk's going to look like a very good value play. Other guys, Robert Williams, 3,400. You don't really know the minutes with him because they will play Grant Williams, they will play Brad Wanamaker, go small that way. So Williams definitely a concern. I'd probably play Williams, Tice, max 1, and Tice, 5,700. He's also a guy that he's priced up where he's doesn't have a whole lot of upside. So Tice, Crowder, these guys, I'm just not gonna have a whole lot. So for DraftKings, Kemba Walker gonna be my guy. Paul George and Kawhi. It's gonna be, you try to pick one. I'll go ahead and put Paul George in because Kawhi Leonard, he's just more expensive. Maybe you guys want to build with a little bit more salary. And Jeremy Grant, gonna put him in. I'll put Duncan in at small forward, and then put Grant in at power forward, and then center will be Zubac. So it's gonna be these 5 for DraftKings. Onto FanDuel, it's just gonna be different because of the positions. Obviously, with center, I'm gonna like Jokic more, but with point guard, Kemba Walker, same thing. He's too cheap. I prefer Kemba over all these other guys. And I'm going to put Murray second because he's also cheaper. Dragic, on a site like this, I just think that you want more threes, and that's something that Kemba and Jamal Murray shoot more, or less threes rather. So Dragic, I mean, that's not really going to be something that I factor too much into. Obviously scoring, but the prices are just lower overall, and so it's going to be the same approach. I like Kemba more because of the price. He's in the middle, and then Murray because he has more upside than Dragic. So that's how I rank them. And then Lou Williams, 5,500, he might be popular because, well, he's the only mid-range option, really. You're just going to want Lou's upside over Beverly when you're paying only 700 more. Monte Morris is okay, but probably Beverly over Morris because of the steals here on FanDuel. None Wanamaker. Shooting guard, it will be Paul George, 7,900 over Butler. I think that's just way too cheap. I know no 3-point bonus, but defensive bonus, these guys both get a lot of steals. And George, he just has more of a role here because he's the more talented offensive player, and he's cheaper. Next, Marcus Smart, 6,400 defensive stats. This is always going to be the site that favors Marcus Smart's game. Gary Harris is too expensive. Duncan, I prefer Hero because he's not as reliant on 3-point bonuses. And 5K just looks really good for him. Iguodala, Torrey Craig, Shamet, same thing. Prefer Iguodala probably over the other value plays, but Hero going to be my main guy for this range, and then I'm going to have George as my favorite play. Small forward, Jay Crowder, he's too cheap, 5,100. I know I said not a whole lot of upside, but that's because he was like near 6K. Here, 5.1 where you have to play 2 small forwards. Yeah, I like Crowder a lot more. Jeremy Grant, also very strong play, but Kawhi Leonard, it's just about opportunity cost, because what if Kawhi Leonard goes off for like 60, 70? You're probably going to want that over Crowder and Grant, who maybe get like 30, which is going to be pretty good. But, if you're able to get 60 out of position where everybody goes low, that's going to be a big advantage. Jaylen Brown, going to be affordable here as well, 7,800, a little bit cheaper. Power forward, it will be Bam, 8,500, because he's just kind of the guy that I want to prefer to get to over Tatum. But obviously Tatum, same thing with like Kawhi, what if he goes off? You're going to be, it's going to hurt a whole lot more on FanDuel. And then Tice, MPJ, Millsap, Morris, Green in that order. I just think that Tice overall on this side where you can get more blocks, that's going to help. Porter, threes, there's no bonus here, so that's why I'm going to put him behind Tice. And then there's Millsap, Morris, Green. Same thing, just Millsap is a little bit cheaper than Morris, and I think these guys are similar, even though Morris plays more minutes. Green has the value play because he is cheap. And then Jokic, 10.2K, I prefer him over Zubac. Zubac will be second because he's really cheap here as well. Jokic, 10.2K, opportunity cost reasons. Big time upside at a center position where he probably outscores everyone else by 30, possibly 40 points. So that's really scary if we don't have Jokic. And then Olynyk and Harrell, and then Robert Williams as well, because just if you really want to go down there. But I just prefer to concentrate my ownership here on Jokic and Zubac. So on this side, I'm going to play Kemba Walker. At point guard, I'm going to play Kemba Walker. And I'm going to try to fit in Murray or Dragic, but if I can't, then obviously I'll go with Lou. And then shooting guard, I think you need to play Paul George here. Small forward, Jay Crowder is my favorite play. Power forward, I'm going to want Bam. And then center, it will be Jokic. Now, that leaves 5.2K, so most likely you're probably playing like Lou. You can go with that, or you want to pay more down Beverly. And a small forward, you probably go with Grant as a value as well. That way you can just afford the studs at power forward and center. So for FanDuel, it's going to be Kemba, Paul George, Jay Crowder, Bam Adebayo, and Jokic. And so that's going to be my plays for both sides. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. You can add me on Twitter at Boffles. Link will be in the description below. So good luck on the slate, and I'll see you in the next video.